Alright, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Twat Talk. I'm your host, Ross Gwem, and Jesus Christ, I feel so garbage right now. I feel really bad, and probably most people will be listening to this thinking, well, why are you recording if you feel so bad? Well, I literally have nothing else to do. I'm really bored. So, I wanted to come on here and just sort of talk, I guess, for a bit. Just jump on the podcast as I typically do when I feel that I just want to ramble and get my thoughts out. So I should probably mention the reason why I feel like garbage. And it's I had my COVID vaccination just recently. This is my second one, so I am now fully vaccinated. For those wondering, I live in the UK, and no, it's not out for my age group yet, but I am technically classed as a carer, so I got it a little early along with my mother. And the first one I got on the 7th of April, the day before my birthday, and the second one I got on the 18th of June. Um, so yeah, and I got, for people who will probably wonder, I got the Pfizer vaccine. You know, like out of all the different ones, I got Pfizer because they're not allowed to use AstraZeneca on people my age. I think that's been kind of stopped. But yeah, basically, the first one I felt like pretty fine. I just had a bit of a dead arm, but I don't know why. But with this second one, I feel like utter garbage. Like I just want to lie in my bed all day, but not even do anything. Like normally, I would want to like lie in my bed for a bit and then get up and like play some games. But no, I don't even have the energy to do that. Like I don't even have the energy to play games. I talked to my friends a little bit earlier, but that was it. I've literally done nothing else all day. Um, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty damn fabulous right now about myself. Um, but yeah, I don't understand why, but this second vaccine is hitting like so much harder than the first one. Like I said, I just had a dead arm. On the first one, maybe a slight headache, but this one, I just want to lie down constantly. Like you know the way you feel when you have like the cold or the flu, and you just don't want to get up. Nothing. Like that's it. You're basically dead for at least a couple days. That's the way I feel right now. I feel completely dead, but the problem is I still have a few things that I need to get up for and do, and I feel like garbage. So, oh god. But on with that other news this week. I got a brand new camera because I will be going to college soon to study film and television. So I decided, and also just for YouTube stuff as well, I decided that I would get a brand new camera, a proper camera. Um, it will probably replace quite a few. It will probably replace my normal webcam in like any playthroughs that I do. Once I get a tripod sorted out, it is a EOS. It's a Canon EOS M50, I believe, with the 15 to 45mm lens. It's a lovely camera. Obviously I'm going to be using it for video purposes, but obviously this is primarily a photography camera, so I could also use it for those purposes should I need to. I think that'd be pretty cool to do some photography for the good old Instagram, maybe do some of that stuff. I think it would be quite fun. So yeah, that is sort of been my my news as of late. What else is happening? I'm genuinely trying to think on what else is happening. Ooh, I know what I'll do. I'll give my thoughts on the new Siege season that just came out very recently. So, for people who play Siege, you'll know that Operation North Star just came out a couple days ago, or possibly a week ago at this point. Um, and it is. It's a weird operation to talk about. I don't like the new operator, Thunderbird. I don't like her. I haven't had the chance to play her yet, as I did not buy the Year 6 pass. But once I do get my once I do get my hands on her, you'll probably see her in a video at some point with me talking about it, possibly. But for the main thing here is that I do not like her ability. I hate her ability. So the ability is she can essentially place down stations which act as a sort of Jaeger ADS plus Doc Stim pistol. So they are completely passive. They just sit there the entire round, and you walk past it, and it fires a little stim shot at you, which gives you a health bonus. If you're at full health, or if you've lost any, it replaces that health. Obviously. So, why don't I like this ability? Because it's another way for defenders to heal themselves. I think it is very much a balance issue. I think it's such an issue to talk about. Because, for example, Doc was he was a pretty well picked operator. Maybe not for his ability, more for the fact that he had an ACOG. But now that he's had that removed, you essentially have to rely on that ability to carry the operator throughout further seasons. And from my personal experience, I don't see a hell of a lot of Doc play. I see him occasionally, but if it's any of the French operators, it's more likely to be Rook in my experience. Because Doc's ability is not as helpful, I feel. Which is why they've made this operator with a Jaeger ADS, but for stim pistols, where it will shoot at you if you just walk by it, and it is a passive thing that you can place down at the beginning of the round, and that is it. I feel like this is making older operators more and more redundant. Doc being the obvious one, because who the hell is going to want to have to shout at a teammate or to ask a teammate to come heal them with only 3 stims? Bear in mind, Doc only has 3 shots at healing people, whereas this thing can just sit by. I can't remember how many shots it has, but it has quite a few. It just needs some time to recharge, and you can place, I think, 2 or 3, maybe. I can't remember. Like I said, I have not played the operator yet, and I've only seen a few people play her, and none of my friends have access to her, so we can't test these things out. So, coming back to my point of, she makes Doc more redundant. That's a first off. So that's a balance issue, because now Doc's pick rate, as low as it already was, is going to go even lower. But the other problem of that is the amount of times that you can get healed by it. Now, I don't know, obviously, an exact number, but I know you can get healed by it more than once, per person. Each person can get healed more than once by this ability. Now, the problem obviously lies in the fact that if you place it in decent spots, people can peek really risky angles and take maybe a little bit of damage from it, not necessarily get the kill, come back, and they're at full health again, so the attacker coming straight in is just going to get absolutely demolished because you had this ability to gain health back, where if you landed a couple shots on them, they do not have that same ability. In fact, I believe attackers have absolutely no way to regain their health. So that's my first problem, is the operator. I don't like the op of the new season. Second, I do not like the changes made to the HUD. So the first and most obvious one is the scoreboard. I hate the new scoreboard. It very much makes it look like a cheaper made game that would be made by like a third party studio for another company. It looks like those Call of Duty rip-off games that I've talked about before, things like Iron Sight, those kind of games that rip off Call of Duty and change the visuals just enough so that you cannot technically class it as a copyright issue. I hate the overly bright colors, and how much the blue, the scoreboard was fine. Like, the scoreboard was fine in all iterations that it has had so far. It has been perfectly fine. Why did we have to change it again to a worse off variation of it? And the fact that we can't change it back either is, I think, something that's a bit of a problem. I feel like Rainbow Six Siege needs to add an option that you can change the look of your HUD so that you can choose sort of eras of Siege that you would prefer to have on your screen. Like, personally, I prefer the HUD from the way that the game came out. It wasn't perfect, obviously. There are some things I think were improvements when they switched the HUD up a few times, but overall, I like the original HUD way better, and I wish I had a way to play with that HUD rather than being forced to play with one that I absolutely hate. Another issue that I need to bring up is the operator symbols on, obviously, the banning menu, the choosing menu and things like that. Obviously, looking at your operators in the main menu. They have done the thing that I am hating right now about companies, and that is oversimplifying their logo. What for? The operator logos were perfectly fine. Nothing had to change about it, and yet you felt the need to anyway. What for, Ubisoft? I genuinely wonder, because basically what they've done is they've removed some of the detail from operator symbols, like stuff that maybe wasn't part of the main symbol, but in between parts of the symbol. They're all gone for flat colour, and also the fact that they removed the white border around the outside, which to me makes the operator symbols a lot less pronounced. It makes them sort of blend more, and I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they got rid of this outline, which was a very defining feature. I have no words, as you can hear. I have no words for it. And that's just a few of my issues. Anything else really is stuff that you get used to over time. Apparently the Scorpion's recoil was buffed a little to make it a bit less of a problem. I still can't control the damn thing. Smoke and Melusi have had a couple changes. I think Mira was another, or was it Mira? I don't remember. There were a few operators that got a couple other changes. I know that Melusi and Smoke were two of them. I can't remember who the others were. There was 4 of them mentioned. Ah, God. But yeah, I'm thoroughly disappointed with the new Siege season, because I feel like it's not making the game better. In fact, it's making the aesthetics of the game worse and less unique among the community. We have tons of games now with very bright scoreboards and oversimplified, logos to their characters. We do not need more. I think we're perfectly fine on that. And yeah, it's overall just been a very disappointing time to be a fan of Rainbow Six Siege. Ah, God. So yeah, I have nothing else to say to Ubisoft on that front. In other news that I have just recalled right this minute, which I'm very happy about, is that Dead by Daylight got a Resident Evil DLC, already having a few notable shows and games on it, such as Stranger Things, Silent Hill, a lot of, obviously horror-inspired things. And I'm so happy that there is a Resident Evil DLC out. I have not bought it yet, as I currently do not have enough money and things like that. But, yeah, it's really good to see, and I love the fact that, despite the fact that Resident Evil after 6 came out lay dormant for a good while, and even when 7 came out, it didn't really, bring a whole lot of hype with it. At least not enough, I would probably say, to such a great series. But yeah, I'm incredibly happy that Resident Evil has become way more mainstream than it ever was, with the great release of Resident Evil 2 Remake, with the, I guess, sort of subpar in comparison Resident Evil 3 Remake release, and Resident Evil 8 coming out, and taking the gaming scene by storm. By Christ, I am so happy that Resident Evil Village was a good game, because otherwise I feared that the series could be on a downfall. And I was fairly skeptical of Village to begin with. When I barely looked at anything, but what I did see, I wasn't sure on, and any of the stuff that I heard about it, I really didn't know if I was going to like it. Turns out I have been loving the game, and by the time this is out, my series will have, unfortunately, come to a sudden finale. And I'll explain why right now. So what happened was, we got to the point in the game where the 7th episode ends, and we went to record another episode, part 8. We got a fair bit into the game, and I was so stupid and saved over the save that was at that point where we were. And yeah, my PC, crashed in the middle of the recording, and I lost all of the footage with no way to go back to where we were. And yeah, it's completely my fault. I shouldn't have saved over my previous save. However, I was not expecting my game to crash. So yeah, I will be finishing Village, though, just on my own rather than in a recording. I'll finish it at my own time so I can browse the internet freely at last. I have been very, very wary, I guess, of the internet for the past couple months, because, for the love of God, I did not want anything in this game spoiled for me upon my first playthrough, because I want to get it for you guys, and now I'm doing it sheerly just for myself, because I don't want to spoil anything. I want to experience the game, and I want to, know everything for myself and form my own opinion, not based on someone else's playthrough, but what I've actually played. And yeah, I will be doing a review at some point. I will record the entire game again. I'll play through it and everything to get the footage for you guys, so I can do a full, proper review of it in the way that I normally would. But do not expect that for a good while, because I'm sort of procrastinating on a lot of things, and the fact that I haven't even finished it once yet, and I feel like absolute trash right now for because of my COVID vaccine. You guys can probably hear it in this podcast episode, but I do not radiate the same energy that I normally would have. I'm very sorry about that. I'm just really not feeling up to it, but I did want to come on and record another episode of the podcast for you people, because god damn it, I love it, and it's a really fun podcast to record. What else has happened to me? I recently finished Legend of Korra, after I binged through Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time last year. I finally got around to Korra, finished it, all 4 seasons. I have very mixed opinions on Legend of Korra. I would say that season 2, like most people, was my least favourite. I really didn't enjoy what they did to, quote unquote, explain the Avatar cycle and everything. I think they should have just left that alone. That that should never have been a topic of an episode. The origins of the Avatar, because this is things that people think they want to know, but it will never live up to the hype that the fans build up around that event. Like, everyone's like, oh, we want to know where the Avatar began, but then when they explain it, everyone hates it because it's not what you expected, or it's not, it's not an interesting or compelling story. Because, hey, there's really... the interest of the Avatar was not knowing. That's the thing that made the Avatar really interesting. Not knowing what everything was and how the Avatar began. And finding out that it was just a spirit that fused with a human permanently to give the ability to bend all four elements at once is really not something that I think is that interesting. Like, the only way that it could possibly have any interest in it is in explaining why the Avatar is the bridge between the human and the spirit world, is because the Avatar is part human, part spirit. But that's still not a good explanation for why the Avatar is the way that they are. It's not that interesting. Like, wow, great, the Avatar, like, a human fused with a spirit, and now we have someone who can bend four elements at once. Brilliant. That completely destroys the mystery, and any further mystery that could be, talked about with the Avatar, because now, if anything happens that it's Avatar stuff, you can just go, oh, it's Rava. And funnily enough, it makes The Last Airbender, the previous show, less interesting. Because a lot of the stuff that now, or a lot of the stuff that before was just something that Aang could do because he was the Avatar, now we know it's all Rava. And the fact that, another thing, I've been watching a hell of a lot of essays, the fact that they introduced a god and Satan into the Avatar world when Eastern mythologies and cultures don't really have that concept. They don't really have, like, because it's basically seen in the show that Rava is the embodiment of good and Vatu is evil. Even though that's not directly stated, it's essentially what they're going for. They're going for that whole God versus Satan dynamic, which is stupid. And I hate it. I hate the inclusion of Rava and Vatu. And the fact that they genuinely thought they could get away with the fanfiction nonsense that was Unalaq trying to become a dark avatar. That is literally the type of stuff you see in fanfiction online. Like, a dark avatar. It's like, Goku Black in Super. That's the type of stuff, like an evil version of Goku. Just take the main character and make an evil version. That's the type of stuff that you see in fan projects, or you see in fan fiction, because these people are often not amateurs, or sorry, they're not professionals. They are amateurs just experimenting with, writing or art and things like that. It's not meant to be something that the showrunners look at and go, oh, that'd be a really interesting concept for, like half a season of our show. No. That you just shouldn't have done that. You should never have introduced the quote-unquote dark avatar, because that is one of the dumbest things that the entire fan base has ever heard of. Can you tell I really get passionate about Avatar stuff? Can you tell that I enjoyed The Last Airbender, and I enjoyed a good portion of Korra? It wasn't quite as good as Avatar, but I felt that it was at least... It didn't match up with Avatar's storytelling at all. The quality of The Last Airbender. Nothing ever could. You could never do a sequel series that reaches the same level of success as The Last Airbender. Because, what's the point? It's like what happened to, once again, Resident Evil. They came out with Resident Evil 4. A lot of people liked it, and they tried to capture that lightning in a bottle all over again. And it just doesn't work. And I think big companies need to realize this, that you cannot capture the magic of something twice. Like, you do it once, that's it. You leave it at that. Once you have that lightning in a bottle, you leave it alone. You do not revisit it, because you'll never capture that same magic. And everything that does appear similar to it will be compared to it and will be inferior because everyone will look at it and go, well, the original was better. But I do have one idea for an Avatar show that I would love to see. I would love to see the original cast as they were portrayed in a lot of the flashbacks. You know, flashbacks to do with Amon. Or not Amon. What was the guy's name? From season 1, the Bloodbender. Yakon, I think his name was. I would love to see Aang, Sokka, Toph, and Katara at that kind of, 30s, 40s age. Because, hey, it's the original cast from The Last Airbender. And I would love to see what happened to them in that kind of time gap between the end of The Last Airbender and the beginning of The Legend of Korra. God, I would honestly love to see that show. And I know multiple people who would be very interested in what happened in that time frame and how did the gang, fare over all that time. What was Aang like as the Avatar as he got older? Did he change? Did he still keep that childish nature? Was Toph, still just as resolute as ever? Was she always, does she remain the same? We actually do see from Legend of Korra that yes, Toph did actually remain pretty much the same throughout all of that. Did like Aang and Katara have any problems trying to raise their children? Like, was that ever an issue? Especially given the fact that Tenzin was the only airbending kid. I need to point that out with Legend of Korra. Korra herself is not that interesting. Tenzin and Lin Beifong, they are so much more interesting characters and they're not around enough. I love the Airbender family, but they're not on screen. They're on screen a good part of the series, but it's just not enough. I need more of these characters. I even kind of like the kids, apart from Milo. I thought he was annoying. I thought Milo was the most annoying character in that whole series. Oh, God. But yeah, I'm probably going to end that one roundabout here because, yeah, I'm extremely tired right now and feel like garbage. And I want to go back to my bed and probably not sleep. I'll probably just binge YouTube even more. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you're on Spotify, remember to follow. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe. Remember to like the video, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Only if you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.